Welcome to the first episode of Edges and Sledges, a live chat show weekly about cricket by the One Tip One Hand team. My name is Dhananjay Chak. I am a blogger at One Tip One Hand. I'm based in London. My co-bloggers are Varun Garg and Ashwin Garg, and I'll just ask them to introduce themselves.
Yep. Thanks, DJ. So my name is Varun. I'm based in Singapore, so it's nighttime here. And I'm in marketing, very passionate about cricket. And it's not a coincidence that my last name is the same as Ashwin's last name. We are brothers. So with that, I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, guys. So as you said, my name's Ashwin. I'm based in Toronto, so the other side of the world. It's early morning here, 9 a.m. I'm also a big cricket fan, India supporter, Delhi Daredevil supporter, and based in Toronto, like I said. Looking forward to the conversation.
And so the reason we thought the three of us can do a chat show is we all went to school together. And went to the same school. We run the blog together, and we thought there wasn't a kind of live podcast video chat between ordinary fans of Indian cricket and world cricket generally. So, I mean, hopefully you guys like it. Give us any feedback. Send in your comments. We'll try and answer them as quickly as possible. So the idea today is to have it's our first show. So we thought we'd talk about kind of three main things. India's just finished touring South Africa. So we'll do a series wrap up there. The second thing we were planning to do was to speak about the upcoming series in South Africa, in Nidahas series. And the third thing was the return of Ben Stokes. So without waiting much longer, maybe we'll just go into the first of those topics, which is the series wrap up for India versus South Africa.
Okay, let me start with that one, guys. So I think it ended last week. Have to say it went much better than we expected. Let me talk a little bit about the test, the ODIs, and the T20s. And what I'm going to do is I've basically picked two players from each side that I wanted to talk about in the test, right? So I think the test started off really well. I think there's no doubt that if the boys weren't attending Virat's wedding and they had maybe gone for a warm-up game, you never know. The results may have been slightly different. But having said that, it's okay. You only get married once, or in some cases twice. So I think, to be honest, for me, the standout performances for South Africa in the Test series, and remember they won 2-1. The standout performances for me were really Vernon Philander, right? I mean, 15 wickets at an average of 15. I think he is a tremendous test bowler, and even though he's not the number one in the world, to me he was the standout performance. But the second performance for me, which really
comments about his weight really affected him. So some people made some comments about him not being fit enough to bowl in Test cricket. So do you think he's really worked hard on that, and is it one of the things that's improved his performance?
Yeah, I definitely do think so. I think it has improved his performance, and there's no doubt to me that he was the number one bowler. So well done to Philander. And the second performance to me that really stood out, and to me it's the one that changed the Test series, was AB de Villiers. I think AB de Villiers quickly realized that these pitches were not high-scoring pitches, and so a quick-fire 30, 40, 50 would actually change the game. And what you'll see is that AB, scored only 211 runs, but at an average of 35, and the pace at which he scored, I think, turned the series around for South Africa. From India's perspective, no doubt, Kohli, big standout performance, 286 runs with that one huge innings. But the guy, again, to me, was Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, right? He picked up 7 wickets, but remember, he was rested in the middle game. I think that could have changed a lot. And yeah, I think his batting was, if I'm not mistaken, he was probably the second best batsman after Kohli for the entire Test series. So I think these were the 4 standout performances. 2-1. I think India did well, but I think scope for improvement, especially because we know from history that India takes a while to warm up in foreign conditions. So that was the Test series. Maybe I'll ask Ashwin if he wants to do the ODI quick wrap up.
Yeah, I can jump in really quickly. I just want to make sure for if anybody is tuned in live, they can see us and it's working okay, because I'm getting some messages that people are not able to see, but on my end, it seems to be working okay. So if anybody is live, please just send us a message or a comment on the live video. If you're struggling, just go to our webpage or Facebook page, facebook.com/one tip one hand or one tip one hand a cricket blog, and it should be the first video there that says we are live now. Just click watch live, and hopefully you'll see it. But if you're hearing me, you're seeing it. I'm going to pop up a graphic on the screen very quickly that just supports what you said. So, what this shows is from a test series standpoint, I think Kohli really stood out. I think the one player you didn't mention is Mohammad Shami. So he picked up 15 wickets at an average of 17. The most wickets for India, more than or tied with Philander. And I think he's somebody that doesn't always get his share of credit. So it's an interesting dynamic that's going to develop, which we can talk more in future discussions. But on who, in the world of Bhuvi and Bumrah dominating, who, where's what role does Shami play? Does he play a role?
I actually thought that Shami picked up quite a lot of cheap wickets. He was really bad in most of the first innings, where you want your premier fast bowler, which is what he is. He's leading the attack, right? And he looked, I don't know, he didn't look interested for long periods in the first innings of games, and then there would be a time in the second innings where he would just kind of come to life and take 4 or 5 wickets and sort of justify his place in the team for the next game. So I don't know. I actually thought we should probably play Dishant, a tall kind of hit the deck bowler in some of the games. I don't know. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's fair. I think the choice to play Shami, credit where it's due in the second innings of the first test match, for example, he really brought it back for us. So I think the problem with Shami was less with skill and talent, more with the approach and the attitude. And in a world of Virat Kohli's intent and need to focus on delivering and really playing with intent, I think Shami lacked that. So yes, if I go back to the graphic and pop up, Shami was India's highest wicket taker in the tests, but 100% agree with you. I think he was lacking in intent, and maybe we could have given Ishant an extra opportunity. I'll use that to just pivot to the ODIs. Obviously, fantastic result for India, 5-1. Nobody expected that going in. Transparently, it could have probably been 6-0. That the fourth game after we went in 3-0 should have been closer than it was. But I mean, again, standout player with the bat was Virat Kohli. No questions asked. Average of 186. He picked up 558 runs in the ODI series. For perspective, the highest run scorer for South Africa was Amla, who made 154. So more than 400 runs fewer than Kohli made. So no question about that. I also thought credit where it's due to Dhawan, who stood out, had a good series at the top of the order, and I think he's proving that he can bat abroad and he can lead the batting order from the top when he's playing outside India too. So really credit there. I think with the ball for India, this came down to the spin twins, right? Kuldeep picked up 17 wickets, Chahal picked up 16. They had one bad match, which was the fourth match which South Africa won, but no questions asked. They were the difference between the two sides in this match, in this series. And I mean, I think India has a great backup in Ashwin and Jadeja, but the fact that players of the caliber of Ashwin and Jadeja are considered backups is just very telling of how well the two wrist spinners Kuldeep and Chahal did. To me, from a South Africa standpoint, nobody really stood out with the ball. I think Ngidi had a better series in the limited overs format than he did in the tests, but overall pretty average with the ball, and it shows in the 5-1 result. Anything to add, guys?
Um, Nothing really. I mean, I think Kohli's 100 in the first game was fantastic. He scored it was a difficult track, I think, on Durban, and we were chasing a decent score. And then he followed that up with 160. For me, Kohli was obviously the standout in the one days. But the question is quite interesting. Are we going to be playing these wrist spinners in England, where it might get wet, the ball, it might be difficult to grip, and you found that when for example, in Joburg, it had rained. That's the game that we lost because the wrist spinners weren't as effective. And you see, when you come to England, it rains here all the time. In fact, it's raining just now, grey and gloomy.
Not snowing.
So it's an interesting question whether you want kind of Ashwin and Jadeja, who've done well for India in the past, in those conditions where it's rained. If you remember the Champions Trophy final in 2013, it was the two wrist spinners that did really well. They got us all the wickets. Where they did badly was on a flat deck on a hot day against Pakistan in the Champions Trophy final 2017. So I think it will have to be a horses for courses kind of situation. If rain is forecast, I think the wrist spinners they have a role to play. Whereas, and I mean, all of this is geared towards the World Cup for us. I think at the end of it. So those are kind of my thoughts. I think we said they will play every game, or Ashwin and Jadeja will be left out of every game. I think Kohli will have to make a conscious decision to play his spinners at depending on what the conditions are going to be looking like. Yes, it leads to uncertainty in the team, but I mean, we saw what happened when the wrist spinners, when the ball was wet with the wrist spinners, and they couldn't control it.
Yeah.
So let me take the T20s because that's what I'm quite passionate about. And I think the performance that stood out for me was the last game, the man of the match. I think there was intent, there was content, and there was talent. Right from ball number one, where Suresh Raina came and hit a six. So, yeah, I won't spend too much time talking about Raina, but I think the T20s were interesting. I think T20s put both teams on a pretty much even platform, especially after the 5-1 ODI. And that's just the nature of the game. I do want to, so Raina was one call out for me. And I think we'll see a lot more of him in the next tournament, which starts on Tuesday, and we'll talk about that next. But I do want to make a point about one guy, Klaasen. I think he was fantastic. I think DJ and I saw him live at the Pink ODI, and both of us were stunned when we saw him hitting. He changed the game more than David Miller, for at least from my perspective. But Klaasen, I think the interesting debate will be on why is it. Do you think he will replace de Kock? Or do you think he'll come in as a second batsman, non-wicket keeper? Because in T20s, he's just that good. So I think that's a question. I don't know if you guys have any response to that.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in with a quick response. I mentioned when we attempted this the first time around when the technology failed us, but I said, for me, de Kock is a test batsman. And I mean, it's now midway through the final session of the South Africa-Australia tests. Not to derail, but South Africa are we're chasing 400 plus runs, and de Kock is on 56 of 75, looking really solid. So it just backs my belief up that de Kock has justified and earned his place in the test side. He really has done so in the limited over side too. Longer term, as they keep giving Klaasen an attempt and then seeing if he deserves a place as a specialist batsman. I mean, the reality is their top order with the bat has been fairly poor in the series against India, and so they would be looking for new depth. But I mean, more broadly, if I was a South Africa fan, having most sides, including India in tests, struggle to have a keeper who can contribute with the bat. To have two that could be perceived full-time batsmen and full-time keepers is outstanding for them.
Well, I think overall, India did exceed our expectations. Would that be a fair statement to make, guys?
I mean, I think so. I think nobody expected the net result to be 8-4 out of 12 matches. Some purists will say the one that mattered most to the tests where we came up short. But I think the learning for the team and the board in the future is very clear. Like, get some match practice, get some more time locally before hopefully we go to England. We'll do the same thing. And clearly this group of players has the ability to succeed.
And we were in with a chance in all three test matches as well. So
Yeah,
it wasn't like we were completely outplayed, bowled out for less than 100. I mean, we competed in every game, which I think it just shows how far this team has come from the days when we started watching Test cricket in South Africa. India would get bowled out for 66 and 100 in Durban, and I mean, we were always on the ropes, basically trying to kind of just stay in the game more than actually try and win a Test match. So I think we've come a long way.
Yeah. I think last question to wrap up the India-South Africa. What do you guys think about Dhoni shouting at Manish Pandey? Where did that come from?
Is that one of the comments that?
Yeah, somebody's sending that in.
Yeah. So that's coming. I think it's good. I think it shows he's still invested. I think there's still a passion. Yes, Captain Cool is. He is after all the captain that's won us a World Cup, a T20 World Cup, or whatever World T20 that is called now, and a Champions Trophy. He's taken us to number one in Test. He's 36. He has nothing to prove to anyone anymore. I mean, he could have retired after hitting that six in the 2011 World Cup, right? But he's still there. He's still working on his fitness. He's quicker than Pandya.
But where did that come from? Is it because they don't like Manish Pandey, or is it something that Dhoni is just passionate about?
I think it's Dhoni's passion. He's just he. It's just in him. I mean, yes, we think of him as this cool, calm character, but I mean, he's not. He's come from nowhere. He's captained our team. He's captained characters like Tendulkar, Ganguly, Dravid. Well, he's not what he portrays himself as. At the end of the day, he's a street fighter, right? And it came out. It just comes out, and it's rare, but it has.
Yeah, I'd just build on that. I think it's also a little bit to do with the culture shift under Kohli, right? Where high energy, being a little crude is okay. I cannot imagine Dhoni having said that to a Dravid or a Tendulkar. Fine, there's a hierarchy or a power struggle, but I think under Kohli, you're being celebrated and rewarded for passion, and if that manifests itself as shouting or over aggressively celebrating a wicket or whatever it is, that's okay because the results are following. And so I think that's part of the culture shift that has driven to some success. A lot of people will disagree, saying it's not in the spirit of the game and things, but I think you can't behave like that if you don't have results to back it. As long as these guys are continuing to deliver the results, if the passion and high energy enables it, then so be it.
True. It was surprising though. What?
Very surprising, very unexpected. Sorry guys, I know we said last thing. The one player we haven't spoken too much about from the South Africa series that I want to make sure gets a shout out is Jasprit Bumrah. Came into the test matches unexpectedly. Forever we've thought about Bhuvi and then Ishant and Umesh and Shami as the four quick bowlers. But this, I mean, he's what, 21, I think. He came in, brought so much calm demeanor and the ability to hit the block hole when he needed to. He had an aggressive bouncer. He picked up, I want to say, about 14 wickets in the tests. Um, or sorry, he picked up 8 wickets in the test. He picked up 14, 15 wickets in the ODIs, right? And then he didn't really play two of the T20s. But outstanding performance from him. I think very excited to have a 21-year-old quick who maybe has 10, 15 years of his 10, 12 years of his career left. I thought he did a great job. I think he'll be a force to continue to be a force to reckon with for Mumbai in the IPL and then India in the England series.
I'm sorry, just to keep with the theme of the last question, continuing. Do you think his test career is going to affect his one-day bowling? Because you can see that with Shami, when he started off, he was a one. He did well in one days, and then he lost his zing in test because his length was different because he was pitching it up more. He was more in the block hole. Bumrah, his Yorker is amazing, right? But with in a test match scenario, you pull your length back a little bit to try and get the edge and nick off in the slips and all of that. So do you think that that might play a role in, or is he good enough to adjust to different formats?
Do you want to take that?
I think he's still young, so I think for the first 1 or 2 years, I think it'll be okay. But after that, I mean, there's nothing that proves otherwise, right, from history and other bowlers that we've seen. So I think it will affect him. Again, I'm just hoping that it doesn't play a big part leading up to June 2019. But I think he's got the skill, so I think it should be okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's going to be a learning curve, but he'll get it. So are we good with that to pivot to the next topic?
I think so.
Yeah.
So the next topic is the upcoming Nidahas series. It's India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. So, guys, do you want to give our viewers and listeners a little bit of background on what it's going to look like, what the format of the tournament is, and basically just do a kind of series preview, I think.
Yeah, so I can take this one. The series kicks off Tuesday, March 6th, at 7 p.m. in Sri Lanka, which is 7 p.m. India time as well. There's 6 matches, so three teams. Each team plays each other team twice. All the games will be in Colombo, and then there's the two teams with the most points at the end of 6 group games make the finals. This series is a little bit polarizing. I'm personally not thrilled with the fact that it's happening. It seemed they're celebrating, I believe, Sri Lanka's 70th year of independence, but I think it's in the cricket calendar that is already so busy, and people are talking about forcing rests and really needing to To squeeze this in felt a little bit unnecessary. Till almost a few weeks ago, they didn't know if they wanted to do an ODI series or a T20I series. They'd settled on a T20I series, so it'll be six T20s. Um, so it'll be India versus Sri Lanka. India Sri Lanka is the opening match, and on Tuesday again the 6th, and then rotating between Sri Lanka, India, and Bangladesh. I'll pop up the squad in just a few minutes, the India squad in a few minutes, but a couple other things that mean this series won't be as exciting as it could have been potentially. From Bangladesh, Shakib is missing out on the series. From Sri Lanka, Angelo Matthews is missing out, and then from India, obviously they've chosen to rest Kohli, Dhoni, the two quicks, Bhuvi and Bumrah, and Kuldeep. So five massive changes to the squad. I'm going to pop up the graphic of the squad really quickly so we can talk. I'll give my thoughts first. So you'll see the in yellow are the additions, and then the five players we've rested. So I mean the first 10 players pretty consistent. The five additions that are interesting for me are, so just to go through them: Deepak Huda, Washington Sundar, Vijay Shankar, Mohammad Siraj, and then Rishabh Pant as backup keeper. I'll let you guys jump in. Any thoughts on these five players, the added players, or the squad in general?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really, really want to see Rishabh Pant play. Like, I understand Dinesh Karthik will probably play in the 11, but I'm really hoping the team picks Pant. I think he's the big hitter, and I think he deserves a shot. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about Washington Sundar. I think he's shown a lot of promise as well. So he'll be a good addition. Deepak Huda, I've heard, is a big hitter. We have seen him in the IPL, but he hasn't had like a standout performance for me. So I really doubt, in my opinion, he won't get a game. And Vijay Shankar, yeah, I really, first time I'm hearing his name, so I really don't know much about it.
I think he's been groomed as a backup to Hardik Pandya. So he's an all rounder, and he's been groomed for backup to Pandya. But I mean, Washington Sundar, he's the guy with the Paul Adams action, right?
No. That's another guy. Washington Sundar is the guy who played for Pune, the 19-year-old who opened the bowling. Tall guy, simple action.
Okay. Maybe I'm getting my cricketers confused, but
He's right arm off spin and lefty with the bat.
Okay, interesting. So I think this is a chance for basically all these players to warm up for the IPL, right? Isn't that the whole idea of doing a T20 tri series between these teams? Which, I mean, I'm sorry, but Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, even Bangladesh without Shakib and Sri Lanka without Angelo, this is, I mean, they could be playing as two different teams in the IPL, and
just be glad they're playing T20s and not ODIs.
I think so. Otherwise, watching 50 overs of that would be fairly painful, I think.
Yeah.
But we will be watching it, of course, since we can't get enough of cricket, right?
I sense we'll all be watching it. We'll do another follow up on this next week. The two players, just to echo, I think I'm excited about Pant as well. But the two guys I think are exciting potential for India in the future. The first is Sundar, Washington Sundar, who we talked about, is apparently pretty skilled with the bat, and that could be, he averages over 30 with the bat and bowls off spin. I think having been fans when we had batsmen like Sachin and Sehwag who could bat at the top of the order and contribute 4 or 5 overs in an ODI. None of India's top seven can spin the ball. Nobody bowls an over. Pandya's number seven. He's a quick. So I think Sundar can potentially fill that niche of in a series like England, as an example. He can bat at the top and provide a few overs of spin, which means you don't need to select two specialist spinners. You can have three specialist quicks, one spinner, and then a Sundar to pitch in a few overs. So it provides an interesting balance. And then I think similarly on Vijay Shankar, I also don't know too much about him. But also supposed to be a handy all-rounder. He's medium pace, so he's going to be competing with somebody like a Pandya for the spot in the 11. I'm just personally excited about him because he was picked up by Delhi Daredevils this year, and so if he can perform in Sri Lanka, it means he might find his way into the 11 for Delhi in the IPL.
And what about the big players from kind of Sri Lanka side? I guess Dickwella will be prize wicket. Who else have they kind of? I think Chandimal's playing.
Yeah,
So he,
I believe Matthews is the only one from a Sri Lanka standpoint who missed out. So Chandimal is playing, Lakmal will be vice captain. Look, I mean, we've struggled in the past to play players like Akhila Dhananjaya. Um, you know, Jeevan Mendes is getting old now, but has had his fair share of success against India over the years. The wild card is always Thisara Pereira. He's up and down, can hit some huge sixes and pick up junk wickets if he's doing well. But if he's having an off day, I mean, he can be a huge detriment to the Sri Lankan side. So they're playing close to full strength, I'd say, other than Matthews. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how this Indian side does against them.
Varun, any further thoughts before
No,
we?
I think looking forward, I think you'll have a good mix of the big names and the new guys. So yeah, let's be positive. It might be a fun series.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to actually watching Rahul play. He
Yeah.
hasn't played regularly of late, and I mean he's one player I think that's really going to be key for India, kind of in the next decade or so. Because if he can stay fit, he's got all the shots. You've seen him play for RCB. You've seen him score 199 in a Test match. He's got a one-day 100. So, I mean, he's a player I think that if he stays fit, is going to be one for the future. So I quite like watching him bat personally. So okay. Just to move on to the next topic, guys. So that's the kind of India series just done. The India series coming up. But what else has been going on in the world of cricket? Ben Stokes has made a return to the fold. So England are playing New Zealand in a five-match one-day series down in New Zealand. And Stokes has come back. Ashwin will just be loading up a graphic showing his return since he's come back. And I think it's fair to say that he has made an impact coming back into the ODI team. Most of you will know that he was dropped from the Ashes squad after having a alleged um, bust up in a pub. He was charged with affray recently by the Crown Prosecution Service. He's pleaded not guilty. The trial will be in summer. In the meantime, he went to Canterbury, played a little bit in New Zealand, and now he's back in the England team. The first game came back, scored 12, got 2 for 43. The second ODI, England lost that. Second ODI, he took 2 for 42, had two run outs, and then scored 63 not out with the bat. He also took home the Man of the Match award, and apparently he was quite emotional while walking off the field, which I didn't quite understand. Because he thought he'd be emotional coming onto the field, back onto it, but fine. Third ODI again, he scored 39 very slowly, 73 balls, and bowled 6 overs for 27, no wickets. But what he did do was take a superb left-handed catch to kind of turn the tide in favor of England. So I mean, he's a big impact player. He's someone that England, I think, have really missed in the last um, what is it, 4 6 months. The Ashes definitely were poorer without him, but he's back. Subject, of course, to what happens at his trial. So, guys, thoughts, views on how big you think either Stokes' presence or absence will be in the future for England.
Yeah, agree. I think you covered all the points. I just think yeah, he's a big match player. England need him, and yeah, and I think it'll be great to see him in the IPL as well because he did well last year. And Ben Stokes is becoming a big name, so no doubt England is better with him. I think um, England is playing aggressive cricket. They're 2-1 up in the series. Moeen Ali finally, after I think 3 months, has done something. Poor guy. I mean, he's got a lot of talent, but this last 2 months has just been atrocious for him. So yeah, I think England plays aggressive cricket, so that's good. Yeah, Ashwin, I don't know if you have any other comments.
No, I just agree. Stokes is the impact player. I think, I would rate, having watched some of the England New Zealand ODIs, because they're a good time zone for me. Um, I would rate England as probably one of the top two or three ODI sides right now, right up there with India. So I think the series this summer from an ODI standpoint is going to be fantastic, and looking forward to it. Stokes, for reference, was picked up by Rajasthan Royals for this year's IPL. So he'll be playing under Steve Smith, which will be very interesting to see. But I'm looking forward to it.
And just for the listeners who are interested in the legal side of things, and in keeping in mind the World Cup is just over a year away. If he is found guilty, the maximum sentence for AFRE is 2 years for a single offence. So he might, if hopefully, well, I don't want to say anything because it's obviously a ongoing case, but as a cricket lover, one would hope that Stokes is on the park for the World Cup because the World Cup would be poorer without him. But we'll just have to see how that unfolds, I guess. Anyway, I think that kind of wraps up the Ben Stokes topic. Were there other things that we had? There's some World Cup qualifiers ongoing, warm-up matches ongoing. So, guys, any news from that?
So just quickly from the warm-up matches, I think the highlight was watching West Indies. Pretty poor in both the warm-up matches. They've lost one, they won one. The actual World Cup qualifiers have started today, so they're happening in Zimbabwe. They're on now. Scotland has just beaten Afghanistan. Disappointing because Afghanistan put up 255, but Scotland won by 7 wickets. So great knock. I think Zimbabwe is on course to beat Nepal. So Nepal had, Zimbabwe smashed 380 for six with two centurions in their 50 overs. Nepal is chasing, but looks like they're going to come up short. And then lots of other excitement happening through the qualifiers. So, lots of different sports. The FIFA World Cup, the qualifiers are a huge deal. I personally don't love how the ICC has chosen not to live stream or not to make a bigger deal out of these qualifiers. But as we try to make the sport more global and expanded, I think qualifiers and associate cricket needs to become a bigger deal. So, looking forward to that. Keep that part of cricket continuing to grow.
And Rashid Khan is captain of Afghanistan now, so that's a big deal for him at 19.
He is at 19, one of the youngest captains, if not the youngest captain, but unfortunately didn't have a good outing with the ball today against Scotland. If I just look at it, he bowled 9 overs with one for 68. So very uncharacteristic. Got smashed all around the park.
Yeah, so that, and the West Indies, of course, the winners of the first two World Cups, now struggling to qualify for the World Cup. I mean, how would you feel if you're kind of Clive Lloyd or Viv Richards or one of the or Michael Holding even? I mean, one of the greats of the game who dominated a sport like no one else. Watch your team just disintegrating. It must be horrendous. It's it's Jason Holder has said that it's time for his team to win a World Cup again, but I mean they've got to qualify for it first. It's you've got the universe boss out there, so hopefully he can hit a few into the stands. Where it is, it's just reflective of a sad state of West Indian cricket, and I mean, as a cricket lover, you'd hope that they make it back into the fold soon.
Okay, so I think that we're coming up to about 30 plus minutes. So I think that wraps it up for us. I just want to make one point. I just want to say that for anyone who's live or anyone who sees this in the next half an hour, 1 hour, South Africa and Australia are giving us a classic game. South Africa is chasing 417. They're 254 for 5. Markram has hit a century. De Kock is on his way to 70, or he's on 64 right now. I think it's going to be a cracker. Leon has not picked up a wicket yet in the fourth innings. So guys, if anyone is watching this, log on now, and I think it'll be a great game. But from our perspective, we do want to do this show every Sunday at the same time. Do give us your support, give us your feedback, and we do want to keep this at a weekly time so that you guys can remember that 7:30 p.m. India time we will be logging on next Sunday. So look forward to chatting with everyone there.
So before we wrap up, we have one listener question came in from Shrey. We'll try to wrap up every episode with some listener questions. So the question from Shrey Mathur was, with growing fatigue from repeated India-Sri Lanka matchups, what are your thoughts on the BCCI scheduling India to host some of the traditional minnows, such as Afghanistan and Netherlands, to give them the spotlight and grow the game? So guys, thoughts?
Warren, first?
Yeah, so I think it's fantastic. In fact, I'm so excited that the BCCI are doing that. I'm trying to convince one of my friends to come with me in June to watch the game versus Afghanistan in Bangalore. Granted, we may not take day 3 or day 4 tickets just to be safe, but day 1 and 2 should be fun. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's a great opportunity. So kudos to the BCCI.
Yeah, and I mean, teams like Afghanistan, Scotland, Ireland, even the Netherlands, there is a growing kind of community of cricketers and cricket lovers over there, and it is something that with the BCCI's power, they really need to. I mean, the sport can only get better by spreading further. In business terms, you want to grow the pot, right? You don't want to keep it. Yes, there's an element of wanting to maintain a monopoly and control, but at the end of the day, everyone benefits with increased competition, with increased kind of globalization of the game. I mean, look at football. The qualifiers, people watch the qualifiers. And at the end of the day, the BCCI, yes, it's acting in its own interests, and no one can blame them for that. I mean, of course, they're the most powerful board in the world. But it's something they should look into in terms of even winning friends at the ICC level with Afghanistan, with Ireland. And we are obviously, Varun's going to be reporting live from the India-Afghanistan game when yeah, it'll be fascinating to watching Kohli play Rashid Khan in a test match. I mean, it will be interesting. But yeah, so guys, please do follow, click follow so that you're notified when we come on live next time. Give us your feedback. As Varun said, your support is obviously appreciated. Let us know what you think about it. If we can do something better. If you can't hear us, let us know. If you think we can do if we're doing something well, obviously very happy to hear that as well. But I think that's all from us, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.